The fire crackled, casting warm, dancing shadows across my parents' living room. The scent of pine and roasting turkey hung in the air, a perfect picture postcard Christmas. The family was all there. My parents, my older brother Mark and his wife, my perfect sister Chloe and her fiancé. I was perched on the edge of an ottoman, the odd one out as usual. The conversation had started lightly enough, talk of vacations, promotions, Chloe's lavish wedding plans. Then it turned, as it always did, to me. "Still at that little graphic design freelance thing, Leah?" Mark asked, not looking up from his phone. It wasn't a question, it was a dismissal. "It's going well, actually," I said, my voice quieter than I intended. "I've landed some steady clients." My mother sighed, a sound of profound disappointment. "It's just not stable, dear, not like Mark's firm, or Chloe's teaching position. At your age, you should be thinking about benefits. A 401k. I felt my cheeks burn. I was 27. I was paying my bills. But in this family, unless you had a corner office or a diamond ring, you were a hobbyist, not a professional. Then my father cleared his throat. The room went quiet. He had that kind of authority. "We need to talk about the house," he said, his voice grave. My heart sank. I'd been renting their old guest house for a pittance, arrangement that had saved me while I built my business. It was my sanctuary. "The property taxes have skyrocketed," he continued, looking around the room, deliberately avoiding my eyes. "We can't carry the expense anymore. We need to sell the main house and the guest house together. It's the only way." Sell? My stomach lurched. The Bay Area market was insane. I'd be priced out in seconds. "Where will Leah go?" Chloe asked, a faint performative frown on her face. "That's what we need to discuss," my mother said, wringing her hands. "We thought perhaps it's time for a change, a fresh start somewhere more affordable." They'd discussed it, without me. My father proposed a vote on my future. "All in favor of selling the property and Leah finding a new situation, say aye." The room was silent for a beat. Then, one by one, the voices came. "Aye," said Mark, not looking up from his phone. "Aye," whispered my mother, her eyes on the floor. "It's for the best, Leah," Chloe said softly before adding, "Aye." My father nodded. The ayes have it. I sat there, frozen. The fire felt cold. The Christmas lights looked like warning beacons. They had collectively decided I was expendable, a financial burden to be voted off the island. The message was clear. Our family's stability is more important than your security. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just stood up. "Okay," I said, my voice strangely calm. "I understand. I spent that night packing. The humiliation was a physical weight, but beneath it, something else was growing. A hard, diamond core of resolve. They thought I was unstable, a failure. I'd show them exactly what I was made of. The little graphic design freelance thing wasn't so little. For 2 years, I'd been quietly developing an app with a developer I met online, a niche social platform for artists that was just starting to gain serious traction. We'd been bootstrapping it, surviving on ramen and hope, on the verge of something huge. The week after Christmas, we got our break. A major tech blog featured us. Downloads exploded. Investors who had ignored us for months were suddenly blowing up my phone. We closed a seed round that made my head spin. Then a Series A. It wasn't just money. It was a tidal wave. The first thing I did with the money was buy a house. Not just any house. A modern, glass-walled masterpiece perched on a cliff overlooking the very neighborhood my family was being priced out of. It had a separate, luxurious guest house. The sale of my parents' house went through. The market had indeed crashed, and they got far less than they'd hoped. My brother's firm had layoffs. My sister's fiancé lost his job. Their perfect, stable worlds were crumbling, and then they found out. A newspaper article. Local artists' app sold for millions. My picture was right there. The calls started immediately. My mother first. "Leah, honey, we saw the news. We're so surprised. We always believed in you." I said nothing. Then my father. "Your mother and I, well, the sale of the house didn't go as planned. The new owners are moving in next week. We were wondering, that big place of yours, surely you have room." I let them sweat. I let them call. I let the desperation in their voices grow thicker with each message. Finally, I agreed to meet them. Not at my home. At a coffee shop. They looked older, tired. The confidence was gone. They sat across from me, their postures pleading. "Leah, we have nowhere to go," my mother whispered, her eyes red-rimmed. "The rental market is impossible. Could we possibly stay in your guest house? Just until we get back on our feet?" I stirred my latte slowly. I looked at my father, who couldn't meet my gaze. I looked at my mother, whose love had always been conditional. I finally spoke. "I remember a vote," I said, my voice quiet but clear. "I remember everyone in the family voting on my future." The eyes had it. Their faces fell. The hope drained away, replaced by a sickening shame. "So I'll put it to a vote now," I continued. "All in favor of you finding a new, more affordable situation, say aye." I looked at each of them, letting the silence hang in the air, heavy and absolute. "Aye," I said. I left them there, sitting at the table with the taste of their own medicine bitter on their tongues. They'd taught me a brutal lesson about family and fairness, and I'd simply learned it better than they had. Sometimes the greatest stability isn't a house or a job. It's the unshakable knowledge of your own worth, especially in the face of those who try to diminish it.